Rum, whiskey, gin, or vodka? Pick one.
Ooh, how about whiskey that's aged in rum barrels?
Okay, all right. You took it up a notch. That might actually be the best answer we've got so far. What's up, everyone? This is Paris Taylor, your host of the Cocktail Hour, the show where we're spotlighting the most talented bartenders shaking up the cocktail scene. Today, we're at 11 Madison Park, also known as EMP, right next to Madison Square Park. Now, while EMP is known for their world-class dining, today we'll be meeting with Isaiah Sargent, one of the skilled bartenders making the cocktails behind the bar. This Cocktail Hour, let's go meet Isaiah and see what he's making behind the bar. Isaiah, thanks for having us today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Yourself?
Good.
Awesome.
So before we start the conversation, man, would you mind just, briefly telling us name, your title, where we are today, and where you're from?
Yeah, of course. Isaiah from Brooklyn, New York. We're at 11 Madison Park, and I'm a bartender.
There we go, man. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
So talk to us, man. We'd love to understand the genesis of your story.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get introduced to the hospitality industry and bartending?
Yeah, honestly, so before bartending, I was in a certain type of hospitality. So I went to school for physical therapy. I was personal trainer at Equinox for a bit, trying to make ends meet. I ended up bartending. I realized I loved bartending more than I loved personal training and doing physical therapy, and I was making a lot more money. So I kind of slowly but surely transitioned into bartending. I actually started when I was 18. So funny enough, I started before I could actually drink.
Yeah.
And since then, I kind of just fell in love with it and continuously progressed through different hospitality jobs. Pretty much always bartending, just different venues,
Okay.
different styles.
What was it about bartending specifically that drew you to the craft?
I think one, being a host at the end of the day, I always enjoyed giving guest experiences and being able to curate experience or a vibe for somebody else, and them coming in to the bar or wherever I worked and leaving happier. I enjoyed that feeling.
Got it. So you've been at EMP for a few years now, give or take. Yeah. So what are some of the most memorable experiences you've had since working here at EMP?
Kind of tying into my love for bartending and the story with that, I had a very full circle moment here at EMP. When I first started, maybe 4 months into being a bartender, there's a thing called BCB, where Bar Convent in Brooklyn, we have a whole bunch of bar professionals coming in from around the world to pretty much convene in Brooklyn, and there's a whole bunch of pop-ups and things around the world.
Yeah.
And when I first got into bartending, I went to Paris and I went to a bar called Little Red Door.
Yeah.
And it kind of blew my mind, from the cocktails, the cocktail menu, the cocktails, the experience of a speakeasy and all that. Fast forward, I'm at the bar and I'm taking care of the owner of Little Red Door at the bar. And for me, it was kind of like I'm meant to be here, I'm meant to do this kind of situation, because that's what got me into bartending in terms of what mixology and bartending and hospitality could be or is. And then I end up being introduced and taken care of, and now I know the owner of Little Red Door, so that was definitely a memorable kind of full circle moment for me.
So let's take it back just a little bit, because you mentioned, that you bartended for a few years, even outside of EMP. What drew you to EMP in the first place?
Many things, honestly. So when I was looking for a new place of employment and trying to progress my career, I wanted to come somewhere where I can, one, learn, two, work with other individuals that cared just as much as I did about what we were doing. And then also have access to different minds that I could talk to and just convene with and converse with. And that's pretty much what drew me to MP. MP has this, larger than life kind of, I wouldn't say persona, but aura, and reputation. So when I saw that they were hiring, I was like, why not? The worst they can say is no, and then I move on from there. But
Good, man. So before we transition to our next segment and just, learning a little bit more about, the bar here at EMP, we've got a segment called Cocktail Hour, where we, we'll have you pick one cocktail here that's on the menu that you recommend, and, share the ingredient list and the story behind it. And I know we were very careful in selecting this particular order, man, so we'll let you take the floor and pick one.
Well, one, the order is how we kind of sequence our cocktail menu. So we like to have our lowest ABV, alcohol by volume, at the top, and then we work down to our most stronger cocktails, a little bit, some that has a little bit more bite. So the chai cocktail is low ABV, stirred cocktail has some Amaro Averna, a little bit of Palo Santo infused Roloquinato, some Calvados, as well as some Apple Blossom Palmo. And then we finish it off with the chai-infused cream that has some Benedictine in there as well. And then on the top you have tonka bean, which is it's similar to kind of like a spiced vanilla.
Yeah.
So you get that on the nose and you get that on the palate.
I like it, man. It's really good. So let's talk about, menu design. How do you guys come up with your menu to begin with? And then we'll talk about seasonal changes as well. But we'll you to take that first part.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand. So we are a seasonal restaurant. We're fortunate enough to have our own farm in upstate New York. So we get a lot of produce from them, and our cocktail menu is directly influenced by our food menu. So the cocktail menu and the food menu are changing simultaneously. We change 4 times a year, every 3 months. And we'll usually see what the kitchen is doing to lower our waste and be as sustainable as possible, and to use those same ingredients. So we're not ordering extra ingredients. So yeah, we usually start, because we swap every 3 months, we usually start a month or so, a month and a half, 2 months out. We kind of get settled in that first month because we're flipping, and we let people get used to the cocktails and give us like a break and like let us breathe, because R&Ding for a whole new menu and then flipping the menu could be a little arduous, but it's a fun task, man. We have so many flavor ingredients, and then we're fortunate enough to have a plethora of spirits and allocations, and we essentially have the budget to really do what we want and not necessarily feel restrained in any way. And our beverage director is really generous in that in terms of like, let your creativity fly, and have fun with it.
Talk to us a little bit about the R&D process that you just mentioned, and how is it like for you, I guess, when you go through that process?
One, when I first started, it was a little daunting because our beverage director, rightfully so, he doesn't like anything basic, So it's like, we'll put a cocktail up, he's like, this is boring. How can we EMP this up? And it's essentially changed my way of thinking about cocktails and understanding how to craft a cocktail, Like, yes, we have a lot of ingredients in our cocktails, but they all work harmoniously to give you a well-balanced depth of flavor. So usually what I try to do is put a little bit of myself within each cocktail at the end of the day, I
like that.
Because it's all about the story. I think it's important with cocktail bars and when you're making cocktails yourself to really put yourself into the cocktail, but then also give a story behind it, because then people are more attached to the cocktail. They have a little bit more, not sentimentality, but I think that is the word. But they feel closer to the cocktail. They feel closer to you. They feel like they understand you more, And then you create those regulars. You create that experience.
That's right.
But
So one thing I heard about, that R&D process was a little bit of the learning aspect to it, or at least pushing your boundaries, right? So, as you think about, or as we think about education and your training here, how was that experience like for you?
It was everything, everywhere, all at once. When you first start coming into EMP, Michelin-Star restaurant, 3 Michelin-Star restaurant, kind of rewrote the rules to hospitality. You get a crash course on what hospitality is within the EMP walls, and it changes your perspective on what service is. Here you have to go through every position. So, you start off running food. This is a KS, so a kitchen server, and then you gradually progress as you grasp each position. Because at the end of the day, when you get to your captain, your som, your bartender, if you move into management, you need to know how to do everything. And that's how service runs smoothly. Because it's like, all right, and even if you're not doing everything, you need to know what the people on your team are supposed to be doing, so that you can do the job that you're supposed to be doing.
That's right.
So just that alone was a lot. But then once you get into the bartender aspect of it, we focus a lot on beverage education, so like cocktail theory, spirits education. So we literally went through each spirit category and learned about what regions these things are coming from, how they distilled, how are they fermenting, what type of yeast they're using, what type of mash bill using, who made this, how did this become about, and really harping on the history and how things are made, so that when we are making cocktails, we understand it on a deeper level and not just like, oh, this tastes like this, I'm gonna put this in this cocktail. So, all right, how is this attributing to the story?
So most people, and I'd be remiss if I excluded myself from this piece here, but you don't need a dinner reservation to come to the bar here. Number one, would love to just sort of get an understanding of what type of experience you'd like guests who have never come here for a drink or for food, what type of experience they should have here.
We're one of the only ones that has a walk-in bar. So you can literally walk in to our 6-top bar. We have a couple 2-tops and a 4-top. And you can come in. The only place you can order our tasting menu a la carte. We have some bar snacks on there as well that highlight different ingredients that we're really proud of on our menu. And then you can come in for a drink, glass of wine, tea. And what I think guests experience when they come in is, one, they're surprised that they walked in and there was a seat. Not all the time is there a seat, of course. We open at 5, the kitchen opens at 5:30. So I would recommend, especially if you're coming on a busier night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, try to get around 5 to 5:30 before our rush happens. But you come in, people are surprised because they got a seat, and then they're also surprised that they can order our tasting menu at the bar. So even if you come in and you're not looking to do a tasting menu and you just want to kind of see what we have to offer, you can order an individual course. But then also, if you are in town for only a day, you've heard about us, you've been wanting to come here for a while, but you didn't want to make a reservation, kind of like the timing didn't work out, you can literally come in and do the whole tasting menu at the bar.
Got it.
So I think people are always pleasantly surprised, and then once they have the experience and they're able to be like, well, I can sit down, order this. I didn't have to dress up and sit in a dining room and do the whole 1.5, 2 hour situation. I can come in, get what I want, and get out. I think people are always excited about that.
Okay. Talk to us about the ambiance here and how you guys think about curating the right ambiance, for your guests, whether it's just for a drink or, for dining service.
I think one of my favorite things about EMP is our dedication to art pieces, and really curating a space that, one, yes, we are making great food and making great drinks, but then we're also looking to create a space that is custom made for us. So all the art pieces in here you can only find in here. All of our glassware, all of our serviceware is custom made for us. So it's like the attention to detail, our plateware is literally made for us, So all those little things kind of come together to create a space where it's all thoughtfully put together. And really making you like, wow, where can I buy these? Or we do sell some things, but some things you can only get here. So if you go to EMH Home, 11 Madison Home, you can find some of our things that we offer. So you can have a piece of EMP in your home.
It's subtle but big.
Right.
It's in the detail, and I love that.
It's the little things that add up.
Absolutely. Love it. All right, so before we transition, would love for you to, pick another cocktail and walk through the ingredients.
Yeah, so we can continue walking through. I lined them up so it can go light to heaviest. So the middle cocktail is our beet cocktail.
Okay.
It's a couple beets infused in a couple ways. So we have a beet raspberry shrub, a little bit of beet infused toki, as well as some pommeau, a little bit of basil eau de vie, some peated scotch. and then we pre-diluted and force carbonated it on bar so that it's nice and effervescent.
I like it. This is really good. All right, so we've got a new segment that we've introduced recently. You know, it's a speed round here. Well, I'll ask you a bunch of questions, rapid fire responses. You up for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Outside of EMP, favorite bar to visit in New York City?
Favorite bar to visit in New York City, I would say Super Bueno.
Okay. How about a bar for date night?
Date night, newest bar in town, Clemente.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Love the plug there.
Yeah, you know, gotta plug out the homies.
And,
you know?
and how about if you had, friends in town, where are you taking them?
Friends in town, I'm looking for a good time. Bar Belly is always a good time. Super chill, great bartenders, as well as Romeo's. Romeo's is super casual, but great cocktails, always a vibe.
Okay. Rum, whiskey, gin, or vodka? Pick one.
Ooh, how about whiskey that's aged in rum barrels?
Okay, all right, you took it up a notch. That might actually be the best answer we've got so far. Okay, shaken or stirred?
Stirred.
Okay, neat or on the rocks?
On the rocks, for
Okay.
sure, yeah.
And you sort of alluded to this earlier in the conversation, but most memorable bar experience you've had thus far?
My own memorable bar experience. I have to say Super Bueno on my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I went with, I have a cousin who has the same birthday as me.
Nice,
We're
nice.
like an hour apart.
Yeah.
And I brought her to Super Bueno for the first time, and we had a blast.
Nice.
It was a great time. Yeah, Super Bueno on my birthday.
Good. So let's talk about your life outside of bartending and hospitality. When you're not working, here at EMP, where can we find you?
In the wintertime, usually home.
Yeah.
But probably home, listening to vinyls, playing with my dog, reading a cocktail book, or binging a show. But if it's nice outside, I love museums. I love being in the park. I love hiking. I enjoy trying new restaurants and bars. And I love a good farmer's market.
Yeah.
Find something new that I've never tried before, go home, make something with it, or even get inspiration for the next cocktail menu.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, are there ingredients or things that you're experimenting with now that you feel like, and again, you don't have to share anything you don't want to share.
No, yeah, of course, secrets.
Yeah, but is there anything you're experimenting with that you think will ultimately make it to the menu?
Right now, there's like this pawpaw liqueur that I'm trying to do something with.
Okay.
Well, we'll see what happens,
Okay.
It's probably going to be a shaken cocktail.
Okay.
Like light and refreshing, going into spring. I think spring is the best season for making our cocktails because we have all the best, in my opinion, this is a little biased, all the best fruits and vegetables that are in season are usually in spring. So yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good season for us.
Yeah, and so you just mentioned the seasonal changes into the menu. And so you guys are kicking off that process now, right? Or
Correct.
you guys are already going through that process now?
Correct.
That's good. That's good, man. One thing we picked up on, when doing research, man, is just, figuring out or at least looking at your love for vinyl records, man. Talk to us about that.
I'm trying to think when it started. I've always wanted a record player, like ever since I was a kid. And when I got it about 5 years ago, but I started collecting before I got the record player because I knew I was going to get the record player. So I was like, you know what? I have to start before it happens because then once I get the record player, I don't have to worry about getting the records. And when my grandfather passed away, I inherited like all of his collection.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I just continued to collect.
Okay.
So yeah, I love jazz, rap, rhythm and blues, like pretty much everything, rock. Like one of my favorite things to do is to find soundtracks of movies on vinyl.
Okay.
So one of my favorite ones is Saturday Night Fever. I have that on vinyl.
Got it.
I found it upstate randomly on like a cabin trip.
Gotcha. Good, man. So is that the one vinyl record you couldn't live without? Or is
No, actually, the one I couldn't live without is the Legend record by Bob Marley and the Waiters. Yeah, that's
close to home.
Yeah, close to home.
Yeah.
It was my honestly, I got that record from my grandfather's collection, but then also we played that record at his funeral. So it's sentimental to me, but then it's also a record that you can play with every emotion, you know, whether you're sad, happy, mad, melancholy, like whatever emotion you're feeling, there's a song on that record that you can listen to, and it'll either emphasize that emotion, which as humans I feel like we kind of do. It's like when we're feeling sad, it's like, all right, I'm gonna play a sad song to make me even sadder. So yeah, I love that record. It's close to home, like you said, but then also very universal.
Okay, got it, man. All right, so we'd love for you to close us out here. Final drink, cocktail hour. What do we got?
So this is one of our spirit-forward cocktails. It's agave stirred. You have a little bit of mezcal, some butternut squash infused reposado tequila, some Foro Amaro, as well as some walnut liqueur, a little bit of Dolan Dry, and some Fino Sherry. So the Dolan Dry and the Fino Sherry kind of play on that to dry it out and kind of balance the cocktail to combat those the sweet flavors of the walnut and the bitter of the Foro Amaro. And we also have a spiced squash syrup that we make in house. So all of our syrups we make in house. It's an infusion of roasted butternut squash, some sage, ginger root, as well as coriander.
Love it, man. This has been great, man. 3 for 3 today, man. It's good. Well, Isaiah, I really appreciate you taking the time out, man, and chatting with us here at Cocktail Hour. Man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. So, you know, any final words for the audience here? Why should folks come to EMP, you know, specifically the bar here at EMP?
Well, one, you will always get a great cocktail. Even if there isn't anything on the menu that piques your interest, we can always make something for you. We have something called the collab cocktail. So if you just tell me what you like, we could figure out something for you. But then also you have an option of everything from food to the people, just to seeing the space. The space is a gorgeous, gorgeous space from the dining room to the bar area. Like you can find, and if you're an art lover, you can come look at some art. And it almost feels museum-esque, you know? Yeah, you can't go wrong, honestly.
Exactly, man. That's what it's all about. Well, Isaiah, absolute pleasure, man. Thanks again for chatting.
Of course, my pleasure, my pleasure.
All right.
Stay dangerous.
There you go.